Surprise! Update 1.5 for Final Fantasy Tactics is here, and it brings a slew of quality of life updates, some of which were very much requested by the community, as well as New Game Plus, something that everyone has been clamoring for, and which unfortunately is very disappointing here. We're going to talk about it. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and welcome back to the channel. Hello everyone, if you enjoy what I do, including my ongoing coverage of all things Final Fantasy Tactics and the tactics and strategy space writ large, then a like on this video, a subscription to the channel, and consideration of checking out my Patreon, which is undergoing a bunch of changes, update video about that at time of recording coming out tomorrow, then it would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much. So yeah, where did this 1.5 update come from, huh? Well, it was shadow dropped at like 10 p.m. Eastern time last night, and it's actually a pretty chunky one, all things considered. It is billed as a major update, and there's a number of things that we need to go through, including that New Game Plus mode. However, we're going to go through some of the more minor bits here first, so we can cover all the fast stuff. First of all, we now have a Zodiac compatibility screen that you can check under a unit's status. When you open this up, it's a very nice screen. I'll have it on the screen for you here. It shows what your good compatibility is, what your bad compatibility is, and what your special compatibility is. It's very easy to read. One of the nicest looking versions of a Zodiac setup that we have ever seen, since it is unit specific when you're looking at a particular character. Very handy, going to be very nice for being able to actually check and see what the Zodiac is doing for you after multiple decades of just either memorizing it or kind of guessing based off of experience, which is cool. We also now have the option, when we are moving our cursor around the battle map, to just look at the status of any unit that we're hovering, regardless of whether we're moving a unit, taking an action, whatever. This is just a less button clicks required to do the thing that you're trying to do type of quality of life update. Can be very handy for looking at an enemy and seeing what its Zodiac compatibility is, if it has any abilities or skills or gear that you need to be worried about. Very nice thing to be able to do at a simple press of a button. Very good to see. We finally have our remove all equipment button back. I've been missing this desperately in all of the time that I've put into the Ivalice Chronicles. I've hated that I can't just hit a button to remove all of my gear. That now exists. Another very nice, expeditious type of thing. The job unlock conditions that you require for a particular job for a particular character are now more obvious when that job is locked, so you can actually see, like, I need level 3 Black Mage, level 4 Time Mage, and whatever to get this job unlocked, but I only have level 3 Time Mage, so it'll show you that you're a level behind on that. Little quality of life thing, but very handy for people who are learning the game. And during battle, the camera angle and zoom settings that you use are now retained for the entirety of the battle. So if something happens that changes the layout of your camera, when it goes back, you'll have the same settings you had before, so you're not constantly finagling it. Not something that was an issue for me at all, because again, I've spent almost the entirety of my life playing with the camera in this game. But for those of you who are maybe a little more new or just a little bit more frustrated by that type of thing, nice change, very simple, very clean. We also have a bunch of new settings, which are very fun. Some of them more flavor-wise, some of them actually very nice utility. We now have the maintain auto-proceed setting. So basically, when you're trying to just set the audio to just play in a cutscene and just let the characters talk, and then a scene transition happens or something else happens, and that breaks and you have to hit the button again, now you can just set it so when you turn auto-proceed on, it stays on. And in any game that has a fully voice-acted script, there's basically no reason not to have this as an option. Very happy to see it here. You can toggle that on in the options menu under settings. Also there, we have the ability incantations guaranteed setting. So basically, when you're going to be using a spell or a summon or a skill or whatever, and sometimes you get that cool little bit like text box that has some dialogue, you can set it so that always happens now. So if you just like that flavor, or there's ones you haven't seen before, or you just think it adds a little something something to the battle, you can set it so that it's always on, so you get to just enjoy it without hoping that it randomly pops up. Very cool. Finally, we have the ability cursor memory setting. setting, which basically just keeps it so that your cursor position in the abilities section of the battle screen doesn't keep resetting if you're going in and out of the menu. Just a nice way to be able to quickly bash through the same abilities over and over again if you're grinding or doing different stuff, whatever. Very handy little thing. Cursor memory is always something nice to have in a very menu-heavy game, such as FFT. We've also seen a number of other minor changes. Some text has been changed, certain sound effects have been adjusted, the stability of the game has been improved, always a plus, and some other, quote, minor issues, unquote, have been resolved. We don't know right now what all these changes actually entail. Of course, I'll be playing around with the game, and other people on like Reddit and in Discord and all that type of stuff will be collating all of these things, I'm sure, so we'll have a better idea probably within a couple of days, but good to see that there are still changes being made to the game. We also now have simplified Chinese, traditional Chinese, and Korean as languages. Very good for those of you who want those languages. And then, of course, we have the vaunted New Game Plus mode, something that everyone has basically wanted from the time that the game was announced, and now we finally have it. When you go and load into the game for the first time after this update, you'll see on the main menu, nestled in between New Game and Continue, if you have a completed save, you will have New Game Plus. When you select this, you will go in, choose any of your completed saves as indicated by this little star icon here, and then you'll start fresh. You'll be able to choose difficulty, you load in, set up your Ramza, however you want his birth date to be, all that fun stuff, and then you go into the game. You retain all of your units, your entire army is exactly as they were when you made that clear data. You'll have all of your gear, you'll have all of your job abilities, your actual unlocked jobs, etc., except for Ramza's specific abilities that come to his squire job as you proceed through different chapters of the game. Those you'll still have to unlock, which I guess fair enough. You know, they don't want us to break the game too wide open here. You'll go through the tutorial at Orban Monastery, where everything is set to the same specific level that you would expect. So like Ramza's level 9, has some basic gear, whatever. And then as you load into Chapter 1 and go into your very first battle, you're very quickly going to realize that this is a largely pointless addition to the game. You see, even though you get to carry over all of your stuff, and that means if you've done like Midnight's Deep and all the post-game content and everything, you're probably looking at like level 70 plus characters with all of the special characters unlocked, like Agrias and Orlando and everyone else. Nothing else has been changed about the game. So even though you can load in on Tactician mode, you're going to go into that first battle and all of those random brigand squires that you're fighting with the one chemist, they're all still level 1 with leather gear. Delita, notably, is also level 1 with no gear, which is, you know, I guess makes sense. You never actually recruit him, so fair enough. But yeah, you're going to stomp. You can take one character in, you can take anyone in, and you're going to annihilate everything. You can see from my footage here, I'm just one-shotting whole squads with a basic cast of Geomancy. It's a choice. It's definitely a choice. Basically, what this means is that unless you are someone who wants to be able to use the lower enemy levels to train up characters that you didn't have the chance to fully use in a previous campaign and eventually have like a full roster of completely maxed out units without having to deal with like random battles that are scaled to your highest level unit and all that, there's not a whole lot going for you here going into this. Obviously, Tactician difficulty means nothing if you are just blasting through with max level or near max level characters. Yeah, okay, maybe you can go through and like collect gear that you missed before. That's nice. Yeah, you can get some more abilities on some characters. If you really just have a big grudge against Weegraf or Argath or something, then you can bully them with options that you would never normally have available to you. And there is something to be said for rocking up with like a calculator, a geomancer, a monk, and a ninja on the mission to rescue Argath in Mandalia Plains and just dumpstering everyone there like you're dropping spirit bombs on them. But from an actual tactical, engaging standpoint, there's nothing here. This is just fan service, man. And it's very odd. I know when the update came out last night, myself and Eric were actually streaming Rogue Trader. We are both humongous Tactics fans, if you were not already aware. And a bunch of y'all out there were super excited as well because this New Game Plus feature is the big top billing feature of the update. So here we were expecting something like enemy scaling, new enemy formations, better gear, something to let you use all of your maxed out powerful stuff, especially all the gear from Midlight's Deep, Zodiac Summon, all of that, against enemies that are actually appropriately set up to handle that type of challenge and really let you flex and strut your stuff. Now, though, it just feels like a waste of time, especially because there's no additional endgame content other than the Midlight's Deep. So, if you've already done that on a save file, now you really have nothing to strive for, other than just sheer completion, which is fine, but it's extremely lacking and extremely bare bones. And what's interesting about this is when this update came out, Yasumi Matsuno himself, Mr. Matsuno, was actually tweeting about the update and how New Game Plus is something that he always wanted to have added to this version of the game, but I guess for budgetary reasons or whatever, it never happened. But now, he credits the very strong sales of the game and the community support that has been shown for it as the reason why he and the team have been allowed to continue working on the game post-release and add these types of features as well as updates and settings that maybe should have been in from the jump. And that's interesting, 'cause it's like, okay, well, good, we're seeing some good metrics, we're seeing some positive motion that we all kind of felt was the case based on how well the game was received when it did finally launch. But it makes you wonder just how much support are they actually getting? Could we see in the future more updates like this or even changes to things like New Game Plus that have now been added? And that's kind of where my copium comes in, right? You always have to read between the lines whenever Mr. Matsuno starts talking about stuff online. He's very much a jokester, he's good at hinting about things, and I'm wondering if this change and his statements about it indicates that, yes, continued support will allow more and better stuff to come, not only for the Ivalice Chronicles, but for the franchise as a whole. I know people are going to say I'm on that hopium, I'm on that copium, I'm reading too much into it, but reading into it is all we've done ever since the leaks for the Ivalice Chronicles first dropped in the GeForce Now leaked document, and everything that's happened since then. It's reading between the lines, and it's all come true thus far. So, even though this New Game Plus update is rather disappointing, I am really happy with the quality of life additions that have added to the game, and I'm going to hope, and I'm going to keep saying, that there might be more on the horizon if the game has continued to be received so positively. So we'll have to see if we get some updates to New Game Plus to make it an actual hardcore challenge. I will be ecstatic, I'll be over the moon, and you can guarantee that we'd be doing another streamed campaign of that. We'll have to see what winds up happening in the future. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about these changes. What else would you like to maybe see in future updates like this? Quality of life changes, new features, all that type of stuff. Drop it all in the comments down below. We'll have a good conversation about it. And hopefully, in 6 months' time, a year's time, we can look back on this video and be like, damn, Tom was right. Look at the wonderful world we're living in of new tactics content. That would be awesome. For now, though, I am going to wrap this one up here. My name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope that you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there, everybody. And remember, be good to each other, y'all. Bye now.